if you are giving somebody one piece of advice on how to build a thriving business, what would that be? And in this particular scenario, it might be somebody that's looking at making that jump between employment to self-employment to becoming a franchisee for the first time, or someone that's already in business that wants to build that first million or that next million. What would that one piece of advice be to them?
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Go, go, here we go. Go, go, now here we go. Now, go, go, here we go.
You ain't never ever seen nothing like this.
Never have you ever seen something like me.
I'm very excited today. We've got Kishan Parmar today, and Kishan is the MD of Leicester, Walfinch Leicester, and one of our newest franchisees, but is going great guns.
That's it. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you, Amrit.
Nice to have you. So
No.
we're in sunny Hampstead Heath,
yes.
ish sunny. It's not raining today.
No.
You've driven down from Leicester.
Yes.
Tell us, who is Kishan Parmar?
So, well, right now it's Walfinch, Leicester. But my background is, as you know, I'm from a family of jewellers, 3 generations.
3 generations
Yes.
of jewellers. Wow.
So that's where it all began. And for the last 10 years, in the back of my mind, there was something more of a calling to do something that changed lives directly. And I think Walfinch values connected with me, like that.
Amazing.
And that's how we're here today, I think.
Phenomenal. And so when we were off camera, you said something that I thought was actually really quite profound. And you were talking about your reasons as to why care. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure, absolutely. It's hard to describe why care, because why not? But from where I come from, I've learned that from, my grandfather, my father as well, that trust is everything in this kind of industry. And we're not selling chips or something like that. This is actually someone's lives, someone's loved ones that we're looking after. And that's the highest form of trust, I think. If someone's handing you their loved ones to look after, you've got the most responsibility. And I think that's what makes it so important that with great responsibility.
You're very
power.
good.
So,
Spider-Man is always there for us, So, and I think it's really quite interesting, the concept of trust and thinking about how your background and your family history, which is in a totally different sector, can relate and resonate with
100%.
what we're doing here in a care business. I mean, I think that trust piece flows all the way through when you're thinking about, from my perspective, one of the things I remember the day that you came in for the meeting in Wantage, and it was yourself and your then girlfriend, your now wife.
Yes.
And for me, it's thinking, well, can I trust these people? Can I trust them to withhold the brand? Can I trust them to provide care for my own family?
Absolutely.
And actually it starts there, and then you're thinking the same thing. Can I trust these people with my investment, with the next 10 years of my life? And will they pick up the phone when the doo-doo hits the fan on a Friday night?
Absolutely.
And it's all of that. And then you go right down to the care workers and thinking, well, can they trust that this company is the right place to be? Or the clients thinking, is this carer going to turn up? And I think that is such an interesting thing that you've landed on there. Just to say, I was just filming another podcast before, and you were talking about that, and it just sort of stuck in my brain actually, and I thought it was really
I was actually thinking about, because obviously last night I was just like, why am I actually here? And I kind of broke it down. I thought, okay, trust is like the main tree, but are we going towards the leaves and the branches, or are we going towards the roots? And kind of, my dad always says this to me, and he says, if someone's trusting you with something, they're expecting something of high quality back. And with our industry, it's quality, consistency.
Yeah.
And if I put that into the jewellery business or the care industry, it's very, very similar.
That's so interesting, yeah.
Because if someone trusts you, it's your duty to provide the quality that they're expecting. and not just for the first time or today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's until they, you know, no one's, I've realized this, that nobody calls you to say, hey, things are going great. It's always, it's not going right. So if they're not calling you,
Yeah.
you're either just going in a flat line,
Yeah.
make it even better.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. You know, the flat line's the
Yeah.
kiss of death, isn't
Yes.
it? You know, so, yeah, either you're going that way
Yeah,
or you're
or
going
you
that
go
way.
that
That's
way.
it. You know, there is no flat line. I
No.
think. So Kishan, so you've been involved in Walfinch for 18 months now,
Around 18 months now, yeah.
and how is it going? So you know, what does a day in the life of Kishan at Walfinch look like?
Absolutely. Every day is absolutely different to the other day. Like, I cannot say it's not easy. And we know that
Yeah.
from day one, it's not going to be easy. But my best moment has actually just come last week when I started doing, you know, I was speaking to my RM and I thought, let's start doing rounds and let me start meeting all the clients personally as well. And I met a lady who's got dementia, and I met her last week, and she said to me, she actually didn't say anything initially, she just smiled, and her smile said more than she could have said after. But she explained how happy she was, the changes we made. That lady hadn't left the house in 3 years.
Wow! In
Now,
3 years.
3 years. She goes for walks every day. She wants to sit in the garden every day. She wants to make the most of her life. And I thought, do you know what? This is why we're here. This is why.
Amazing.
This is what we're doing it for.
How did that make you feel?
Oh, incredible, incredible. I think I'm not very, you know, I don't really get really emotional all the time, but I felt like, damn, this hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the kind of feeling that we're looking after, and it got me going. And I said, I don't want to stop anymore. I want to be able to make these changes. You know, I'm not saying she's going to run a marathon,
Yeah.
but to be able to leave the house for the first time in 3 years,
Yeah.
come on, that's something, right?
I mean, I think so. That sort of whole concept of time to thrive
Yes.
is exactly this. And whether that is just somebody sitting up and being able to play Scrabble or being able to leave the house for the first time in 3 years, that is their time
Yeah.
to thrive, right? And
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely embodying that, which I think is super cool.
I've been talking to a lot of people in the industry recently, and Leicester's very saturated. And sometimes I think, how why Walfinch? That's what they ask me. And I have to ask myself, honestly, why Walfinch? Why would I want somebody to go for our brand, or why would somebody want to, you know, want us to look after their family? And I've actually, the time to thrive and the well-being aspect of it isn't anything new, because ideally we want that for all. Look, you know, me and you,
Yeah.
you go to the gym so much. That should be part of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely,
Why does
right.
it stop
Yeah.
after a certain time? And that's where the thought came in. And I was talking to someone from the council the other day, and I said, I don't want to be known, or I don't want Leicester Walfinch to be known as a normal care company again. It's a more preventative effort. We want to make sure we're there helping someone. We're not going to cure their dementia, but we're going to maybe prevent anything else, you know, happening in the short term,
Yeah.
and let them enjoy the stage of their life.
I think that is really interesting. Talking about preventative measure,
Yeah.
one of the things that your wife said on the first meeting that we had was talking about, she's a physiotherapist.
Absolutely, yeah.
And talking about how that can really support with the work that you're going to be doing at that
Yes.
point. And that really sort of struck me, thinking, well, you've already sort of connected all these dots. You're sort of thinking about it in the right way. You're not thinking, well, all we're trying to do is keep people, you know, churned on a rota because that's revenue generative. We're thinking about how do we get these people to just be a little bit more active, you know? What is their 1% change?
Yes.
And I think that, for me, was really intriguing, sort of looking at that whole piece and thinking about that.
Absolutely, and it's the things that are in front of you. Like, sometimes I'd go home and just talk about it, and she's like, but shouldn't this be normal? Shouldn't you be talking about this anyway? And I'm thinking, true, why are families not?
Yeah.
I've come across families and people who are actually saying, oh, mum won't do this.
Yeah.
But why? Oh, she's not walked to that there in ages. So
But let's promote that, right?
Absolutely.
Let's encourage people, because actually, you know, very few people want to be locked in, you know, whether they are locked in their minds, locked in their bodies, locked at home, you know, they want, as every person, you know, in that last chapter or that next chapter really is thinking, well, how do I keep thriving now?
100%. And we, as humans, I think we don't like being constrained and restricted.
Yeah.
We want to be able to achieve more, do more, whether it's small wins or large wins. And I think moving away from clients, I've realized in a hard way that it's the same thing with our carers and our staff as well, and how important they are, but they won't say it. They won't say what they need, they won't say what's going on. And we've had to sort of read between the lines, and when they're talking to us, to say, oh, actually, you've just said something really, you know, interesting, and well, you know, we're going to start learning from that.
And that's super interesting. So let's get into, right, you decide that you want to be a franchisee of a home care brand. So how did your family feel about that? And, you know, I come from a business family as well, and I remember when I wanted to be a franchisee, I remember my dad saying, well, franchising, I mean, it sounds like a bit of a scam, like what the hell is that, you know? And I had to go through this whole piece. I took him along to a few of the meetings to meet some of the home care franchisors at the time, and so on, you know, really kind of saying, well, actually, this is why, and he sort of got it, but but it took a minute, actually, because I think we've got a bad rep for franchising in the UK.
Absolutely.
But what was your experience?
No, it's nothing different, actually, because every family feels, and everybody around you feels, no, you can do this alone.
Yeah.
Like, because somebody's done it alone.
Yeah.
But how they've done it and what they've achieved. Yeah, probably 60-70% of what you can achieve with a franchise. But it's knowing who. It's like you've got everything. This is my spiritual leader. What his thoughts are based on, and his teachings are truth, love, and compassion. And that's what I kind of try to put into everything that I do. But one of the things he said is, you think everything's in your hands, but just remember that your hands are in someone else's hands.
It's very interesting, yeah.
So being a franchisee, it actually allows you to kind of take that extra sort of leap and know that someone's there to guide you along the way, but you're not alone completely. The network, the relationships, I think it's such a learning curve every single time you meet someone from the group.
I think that's super interesting, because I think, you know, often you think about franchising. I mean, for me, I think, having been a franchisee and now franchisor, I think one of the things I enjoyed the most, I mean, I was a top performing franchisee.
Wouldn't expect anything else from
there
you.
you go, you know. But I think for me, one of the key things, actually, when I got together with the network at the time, was that it's very lonely running your own business. And actually that omitted that loneliness of thinking, well, these are not competitors, but they are going through exactly the same thing, and we can speak openly. And I found that being really powerful.
Yes. And funnily enough, that I don't talk to, you don't get a chance to talk to everyone every day. I hardly talk to, you know, just talk to my networking group every day, and like different people who I've got to call. But whenever you call or whenever you ring anyone, everyone will pick up the phone. And somebody's gone through whatever you've been through. And like you just said, they're not competitors. But having that feeling is different. Because there's someone you can trust who's got your best interest as well.
They want you to win, right? You know, you winning means that we win. And I think that is such a unique thing to franchising. It's really interesting, isn't it? You know, you can have a McDonald's branch down the road, but I still want my McDonald's branch to work, and I want yours to work, you know, and I think that's it, you know. So what does the future have in store for you? You know, you're just getting off the ground right now. I think you're exhibiting all of the right traits, you know. We're going to have a little a roundup meeting after this as well, aren't we? But, you know, and I think for me, I think you're exhibiting all the right traits. You're doing the work, you're building relationships, you're getting out there, and I think for me, a home care business is not built behind a computer screen. 100%. It is built in the field, shaking hands, literally burning holes in your shoes, you know. But what does the future hold for you?
We don't want to stop. I want the brand to be known for what, see, like you're saying, not behind a computer screen. people want to do, I know we're calling it a business, but people want to be cared by people.
Yeah.
If you're not a real person and you're just a brand, a no-face enterprise that's happening, you don't know who you're dealing with, what's going on. It's a transaction.
Yeah.
We need to get away from that service transaction to more providing the actual service and saying, look, we actually care.
Yeah.
But in terms of the future, where's the end line? Where's the goal? Either multiple franchise branches, but the main thing is not going away from the care side of it.
Yeah.
Making sure that everybody having that rep in the community for what we're doing.
Yeah.
And letting people choose us for those reasons. Yeah, not everybody believes in it at the same time.
Yeah.
There are lots of people saying, we literally just want someone to come in to see if mum's okay and she's eaten in 20 minutes and get out.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. But we want to be able to grow with people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. And I think that's the really interesting timing that you've got as well, coming in on the if you look at the J curve of Walfinch as well, you've come in and we're sort of at the same point of the J curve at the same time.
When I came in and I had my first, we had our first conference that time, and just before that, the training and everything, the new Walfinch branding and the newness and the thrive, it was all there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's just the extra, that's the perfect timing. And I think that's what we want to grow with. We want to build on a business with not just hours, but people who actually benefit from this.
Yes.
I
think that's it, and I think really the whole purpose of it, I mean, for me, the thing that gets me out of bed every morning is thinking, how do you help a franchisee create a bigger tomorrow, whether that is in terms of wealth creation. I think that's really important, frankly. I think, creating profitable home care businesses, as mad as that might sound to some people, I think is tremendously important, because you can't pay your manager well, you can't train your staff well, you can't pay your carers well, unless you have a profitable home care business. So coaching people on how to do that and creating wealth for the shareholder, I think is tremendously important, in order to then change the way we think about aging, change the way we produce, training and we deliver care in the UK, which I think that, as we scale, we can really meaningfully impact. And I think that is super, super cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the benefit of that is so vital.
Yeah.
And so many people achieve new things from that.
Yeah.
And if I don't see it every day, you don't get to see it every day, but there are so many people in this supply chain that it impacts. And I was actually talking to a family member of one of our clients. She was absolutely burnt out from work, from home, everything completely burnt out. And she obviously took the frustration out on me. Yeah. Obviously, that's what I'm there for. But I kind of gave her the heads up and I said, why don't you take 10 minutes out? 20 minutes a day, just to step out, do something. We're there anyway for mum.
Yeah.
This is your time, do something. Told her to come to our Thrive Club. She's a different person. And those ideas come from obviously up sort of from you guys in head office, but it spreads.
Yeah, well, and this is it. So what is a Thrive Club for those that don't know?
Thrive Club is where not only our clients, but the whole of the community gets to meet other people, exercise, create a really good environment to thrive in. We've got a seated yoga Thrive Club run by Tori. She's lovely. She gets everybody going, but our main focus has been, how do we beat isolation?
Yeah.
How do we have fun?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a great group of clients who turn up there on a regular basis. Our first one, we had 4 people.
Yeah.
And from then, we've built it to 25 regular people.
Wow. And how often is that running?
Every week.
Every
Every
week.
Thursday.
Gosh.
But we're
and very expensive, I expect.
oh, absolutely. So it's completely free.
Amazing.
Completely free. We do accept donations for certain charities and
Yeah.
to help. You know, we've started introducing resistant bands now.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, I get tired. I know
That's
what,
great, actually.
I attend some of the classes myself for
Yeah.
my well-being.
And you give these resistant bands them to take home, or they just
No,
use
they
them
come.
there?
They come back. They come there and they use them, and they're all excited about it.
Maybe we need to pick up a Thrive pack, you know, that
Yes.
we can
A branded pack.
sell and then give the donations to Royal
yeah.
Osteoporosis Society. Very
Absolutely,
good. Nice,
absolutely. But no, so we've started using our Thrive Club to get a wider, bigger message out there to fight isolation, to prevent loneliness, because it's a big thing right now.
Yeah,
Especially, I know we're talking about people in their own homes, but not everybody asks for help.
Yes.
People have lost their partners during COVID, and after that, they've really struggled with sort of getting back into society.
Yeah.
And since then, the aging population has felt of, you know, they've hit it hard.
Yeah.
So we're actually, well, this is brand new. You've probably not heard about it yet, but we are joining with the NHS for our Thrive Club, where they are bringing it's a roving healthcare unit, which is like, this is how I explain it to everyone. But do you remember the book buses?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like a book bus, a bus full of vaccines. So the elderly or some people just have anxiety of attending appointments.
Yeah.
You know, how much can you get done in a 10-minute appointment with the GP, trying to explain, I've got this, this and this, and I need this as well. This is their time. No appointment needed, nothing needed, completely free, and you get all your vaccines, everything that you need.
Fantastic. And that is amazing. So when is that going live?
That's starting from the 28th of May.
Wow.
And we are hoping to have them once a month.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's just to reach everybody
Yeah.
to say, why is it not accessible?
Yes. I remember when you were having this conversation, so we met at the Hilton
That's correct.
in Birmingham. And actually, I've got to say, one of the things I love most about you, there are many wonderful traits, but yeah, one of the things
I'll pay you later.
yeah,
don't
I
worry.
know. But one of the things I love most is that you are a great advocate. You kind of get in there, you motivate everyone. And so we had a group of early doors franchisees, and you're talking about stories and how you built relationships.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that you had mentioned on that day earlier this year. So I remember when you were negotiating this whole piece.
It's taken a long time to get them to come on board, but it's the relationships like you're talking about. It's, you know, you don't go in with an agenda. You want them to build that trust once again, and understand that what you're doing is actually a worthy thing to be part of.
And so we've covered a lot of bases here. And before we start wrapping up, one of the things I'm really interested in is you're newly married.
Yes.
And your wife's a physio. You come from this business family. So you've got all of this kind of experience in business. What does your new wife think about this as well? I mean, because you've been together for a long time, and you know she's I think was involved in that decision making.
Yeah,
piece.
absolutely.
But what's her take on the whole thing of, like, you know, what you're up to here?
I think she sees the bigger picture, and it's important. That's why we're married, because she can see that picture.
Yeah.
But it's that vision of what we're trying to do, and we can't change the whole industry.
Yeah.
But we can be part of a change that we want to see. And she knows people around me, my family, they understand what I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do as Walfinch.
Yeah.
And they're really supportive. And I think that's important.
I think it's tremendously important to have supportive people.
Yeah.
You know? 'Cause if you don't, actually, business is too hard. This first couple of years,
Oh,
or beans on
absolutely.
toast years, as Julie calls them, you know, they're too damn hard, actually.
Absolutely.
You know, if you don't have supportive network around you.
And it's not easy, but who said it was going to be easy?
Yeah.
And why should we stop?
Yeah.
You know, I was actually talking to someone the other day, and they said to me, "Oh, so when's the best time to start?" And I said, "Today."
Today.
But why, if you're asking the question, clearly there's something in there that needs some watering, so it can grow.
Yeah. That's very good. Yeah. So my last question I always ask everyone on the podcast is if you are giving somebody one piece of advice on how to build a thriving business, what would that be? And in this particular scenario, it might be somebody that's looking at making that jump between employment to self-employment to becoming a franchisee for the first time, or someone that's already in business that wants to build that first million or that next million. What would that one piece of advice be to them?
So I always say this to myself when I'm feeling like, what am I doing? But it's believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's not going to be as you planned.
Yeah.
The plans can literally go out the window.
Yeah.
But have belief
Yeah.
and keep going.
I love that. Believe in yourself. Thank you very much. That was
Thank you.
great. That was the best
Great
high
to see
five
you.
I've had on this show. It's like a
That's
good
it.
clap.
That's it.
Right. And thank
No.
you. And thank you for tuning in. And until next time,